What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. No knock warrants. Let's talk about it. So, lately in the news, we've been seeing more and more events and episodes of police acting on no knock warrants or facilitating warrants against American citizens for alleged crimes. Now, we have to remember that every American is innocent until proven guilty. We also have to remember that just because an individual wears a uniform and wears a badge doesn't necessarily mean that they themselves are not a criminal. We've seen many of cases in many situations to where law enforcement operators, unfortunately, well, sometimes they lie on warrants. Sometimes they make up false information. And this is one of the main reasons why we have body cameras, because there has been a history of police misconduct when interacting with American citizens based off of prejudice, bias, racist behavior. So, this will be in accordance with my sixth executive order as president. We are going to re implement the tactic in how we utilize warrants and the apprehension of interested parties that are subject to those warrants. So, we've been talking about no knock warrants and warrants in general, and the apprehension and arrest of individuals whom are American citizens when it comes to ensuring public safety, ensuring safety for law enforcement officers, and to ensure fair and impartial prosecution, as well as the right to remain silent, as well as the right to legal representation, right? So, my sixth executive order would entail the application that any individual who is subject to an arrest based off of a warrant, the information utilized to gather and to support the issue of that warrant has to be verified by at least 3 separate people, right? It cannot be within the same department. IG has to be a part of it. There has to be the chief of police has to review it, as well as the individual who's collecting the information. This will heavily reduce the likelihood that a warrant was issued based off of good police conduct and not bad or police misinformation, right? Because we've seen it multiple times to where, again, police will lie on a warrant in order to facilitate it, in order to further a prosecution or investigation. Now, on top of that, when it comes to no knock warrants, when it comes to warrants in general, an individual who is subject of a police investigation, a criminal investigation, upon all of the verifiable information to facilitate the arrest of an individual through a warrant, that individual will be given 72 hours notice, right? There will be a courtesy call that will be implemented to the subject of interest to let them know there is an active warrant out for your arrest. You need to turn yourself in to your nearest or local police department in order to facilitate the criminal investigation process, which you are entitled to. So it would behoove you now within the next 72 hours to contact an attorney, as well as to make sure that you show up with a suit, the proper court attire, within 72 hours at this specific location. This way, everybody has the opportunity to be given the privilege as well as liberty to facilitate a form of civility. This helps the police officers stay safe. This helps the individual whom is the subject of this warrant, of this arrest, stay safe. And it helps the safety of the public in general. Because through the facilitation of gathering evidence and information to be utilized to initiate a proceeding of an arrest against an individual, there had to have been some form of police work, which would include surveillance. So within that 72-hour timeline, we have enough police, as well as monitoring capacities and capabilities, as well as instruments and technology, that after 72 hours, if the individual fails to turn themselves in, then it would be a lot easier to go collect them anyways, because we've been watching them for the last 72 hours anyways. Now, this gives the opportunity for jail, and this gives the opportunity for a heated topic of debate as of late, which is bond, posting bond, right? So, if an individual is notified and he has 72 hours to turn himself in, when he goes to turn himself in, or her, within those 72 hours, and he goes in front of a judge, the judge can see that he's compliant, he or she is compliant, he or she is wearing the proper attire, he or she has had the opportunity to retain a lawyer or cannot afford a lawyer, and he or her has had the opportunity to try to contact a state representative. And if all of those should fail and the individual is apprehended without turning themselves in, without trying to get a lawyer, without showing up to court in proper attire or some type of presentable attire, then the judge has the affordability and the capacity to weigh in on the status of this individual's intellect, the status of this individual's level of awareness and safety and concern for the public, as well as this individual's threat to the public, as well as threat to law enforcement personnel, which gives the judge more room to rule in favor of the individual or the safety of the public, to include law enforcement personnel. You know, if an individual fails to show up within 72 hours without good reason, that kind of gives the judge the ability to not grant this individual bail, because clearly this individual is, unable to act in a way. And again, it has to be within good reason. So this kind of helps the situation to where we see judges release individuals out on bond or on bail for crimes or allegations, because, every individual technically is innocent until proven guilty. It gives them the opportunity to prove the system wrong, and it helps that individual to keep his face out of the news, to preserve his character, because we see a lot of cases and situations to where individuals are displayed publicly in an incorrect and immoral fashion when that individual is innocent, and then the taxpayer is on the hook for defamation of character or police misconduct, wrongful shooting, so many issues that happens on a day-to-day basis. It started with Trump in office with the Department of Government Efficiency for Waste, Fraud, and Abuse, and it's time to continue to facilitate this measure to where we are conservation of capital, right? We are conserving the American taxpayers' funds to make sure that we are not wasting taxpayer money. We are not unnecessarily killing or unaliving Americans. Law enforcement officers are not unnecessarily finding themselves in the line of fire for an individual whom they know definitively is a threat to the public and has no intention of turning themselves in. This operates in a notion that gives a better likelihood of outcomes for judges, for police officers, for American citizens, for taxpayers as a whole. So this would be my sixth executive order when it comes to helping to reform the way we execute warrants and we apprehend individuals whom are the interest of these search warrants. It's time for America to move forward, and it's time for America to bring God and country together.